Legacy Open. Yesterday we gave you a little bit of a rundown on the sales booth and all of what was going on there, and I'm just going to return and do a little bit more of that. Got a list of cards from our sales lead Chad Danielle. He's going to give us an update on what's been going down. The two biggest sellers this morning were Flooded Strand and Sensei's Divining Top by a large margin. We actually sold out of Sensei's Divining Tops. Obviously, it's a pretty highly played legacy card. Flooded Strand even more so, given that it's a fetch line that goes in literally any blue deck, but especially well in Miracles. I think we can point to a fair bit of blue-white control being out there in the field today, mostly based on those two sales. That also lines up nicely with our Entreat the Angels that we sold out of yesterday during the Standard Open. Unsurprising to see a lot of Miracles decks just populating themselves with all of these three cards. Moving on, the other big movers were pretty standard legacy fare. Vendilion Clique, Wasteland, Submerge, and Caracas, all noteworthy, all selling very well at the booth. Counterbalance and Counterspell, again, cards that can go in the Miracles deck, again, cards that were selling very well. Choke, an excellent counter against many of these cards, also did brisk business at the booth, as did Xantid Swarm. Xantid Swarm is usually a sideboard card for Charbelcher decks to give it an out to a lot of these various control strategies, especially ones that might run a lot of counterspells or brainstorms. Elvish Spirit Guide and other cards that go into the Charbelcher deck were generally pretty popular, so I think we can say that there's probably a strong Charbelcher field presence. I don't think I've seen much of it at the top tables though, so those efforts may have all been for naught, basically. Merfolk was one of the more interesting stories at the booth, as the cards did not sell well at all. People don't appear to be buying Merfolk here. Either they already had their Merfolk decks or they're just not interested in playing them. Two surprising sets of cards that we managed to sell pretty well. The Urzatron, Urza's power plant specifically, we sold very well, and the other two also were popular sales. I don't think that there are any of the Urzatron style decks doing very well, but it's possible people were picking up Urzatron for Modern, picking it up because it's popular. It is a con after all. People do just buy cards. I haven't seen any Tron decks doing well in the Legacy, but it's interesting to note. Last but not least, a personal favorite, Argothian Enchantress, Carpet of Flowers, and Utopia Sprawl, all doing good business at the booth. Obviously, the traditional green-white Enchantress deck can play all of these cards. There's also a blue-green Enchantress deck. I myself have been playing a little bit on Moto, built by Andrew Cuneo, or Gainsay, as he is better known. And I think that deck may be transitioning a little bit into live play. It's tricky because the deck has a lot of triggers and can be very time-consuming to play, especially when you're demonstrating an infinite loop. But the sale of those cards just points to people playing Enchantress. I don't think we've had any of them on the stream yet. I know that you guys don't really enjoy watching them, so we're probably going to leave it that way. But be on the lookout. The decks that are popular in the field, just based on sales alone, appear to be like Charbelcher, Blue-White Miracles, and maybe Enchantress. I'm going to go ahead and throw it back to a break now. We're going to return with round 5 of the Legacy Open, contrary to Cedric, and we'll be looking at more of the top decks from the Legacy Open.